Raw tonight was the Money in the Bank hangover show, and it felt like it. Boy, did it feel like it. The show was dragging more ass than a bouncer. We had, at the end of the show, the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins, going one-on-one with a Dirty Dom. That is his new name. I know this because they mentioned it over and over and over again. And Rhea Ripley had it tattooed on her face. Dirty Dom did not beat Seth Rollins. We actually had a pretty lame disqualification finish, but the story was Finn Balor attacking Seth Rollins. So the issue between Rollins and Balor is not over. Clearly, this is going to extend into SummerSlam. But there was drama between Finn Balor and Damian Priest because Damian Priest was about to cash in his Money in the Bank when Finn Balor came in and ruined it. Balor blamed Priest for why he didn't win at Money in the Bank. Priest blamed Balor for why he couldn't cash in tonight. So get ready for several more weeks at least of bitching between these two as we are on the very slow road to SummerSlam, which is only 4 weeks away. August 5th is SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar has been missing since Night of Champions, since he broke Cody Rhodes' arm and he beat him in Saudi Arabia. We have not seen or heard from Brock Lesnar since. Cody Rhodes has been posting all the dates that he's on the road, hoping, begging for Brock to come back, and we all knew it was going to happen. I thought it would happen at Money in the Bank. It did not, but it happened tonight. Cowboy Brock came riding back into town, but if you blinked, you missed him. We didn't get Brock Lesnar on this show for very long. When Brock Lesnar shows up, Brock Lesnar does not put in a whole lot of work on these television shows. So we did not get much of Brock Lesnar on this show, but nonetheless, he did come back, and clearly we are on the road to round 3 between him and Cody Rhodes. Shayna Basler, one of the bigger surprises of Money in the Bank on Saturday, was her turning on Ronda Rousey. They lost their women's tag team titles. Why, Shayna, why? Would Shayna give us an explanation why she did what she did to her best friend? The answer is yes and no. Yes and no. We got sort of an explanation, but I will tell you the one thing about that promo that was a fail when it came to what Shayna Basler had to say to Ronda Rousey on the show tonight. And we had, believe it or not, Rhea Ripley defending her women's championship against Natalya as the best match of the show. Now, that is low praise considering we had a bunch of 2-minute matches and 4-minute matches on the show. But credit to both women. They went in there tonight and they had not only the best match of the show, they had a very good match. We all know who won. Rhea Ripley is still the women's champion, but they had the match of the night here on this show. And that was it. That's all I got as far as the highlights of this show. The rest was tough to sit here and watch for 3 hours straight. Nothing else to really break down here at the top as far as important stuff that happened on Raw. That was the key stuff. I'll have a lot to say about the other stuff too, but that was the key stuff on this show. A largely hard 3 hours to sit through, but that's Raw. On most weeks, that's Monday Night Raw. But you know what's not hard to sit through? This review. That's why I'm here. That's why you're watching me. This is your Monday Night Raw review here for Monday, July 3rd, 2023. I am the Solomonster. You know, I always hate this time of year. I hate this time of year because of the fireworks. Everyone's setting off fireworks. It's like bombs over Baghdad outside my window. And it's not even just July 4th. It's July 3rd. It's July 4th. It's July 5th. It's the rest of the week is going to be like this. And yeah, I could hear downstairs. They have the dogs downstairs. I feel bad for anybody who has pets because it's got to be just a nightmare if you have cats and dogs with all these fireworks going off and all the sonic booms. But I do want to draw your attention because I have done streams on July 4th and around July 4th now for many years. And I want to take you back to this moment. Speaking of booms, I want to take you back to this moment from a Dynamite stream from 3 years ago. We'll see how many of you remember this. Just put Rey Fenix in the match. Doesn't matter who else is in there. Just put Rey Fenix in there. It's going to be insanity no matter what. Whoa. Holy shit. Whoa. I guess the fireworks are still going on here. July. See, now you know what I'm talking about. I hope you guys heard that. Sounded like a gunshot outside my window. I still remember that moment. I almost shit my pants that night. That's what's going to be going on around here. Be lucky if we don't hear it here during the stream tonight. Fucking hate that. Fucking hate fireworks on July 4th. You got people who go out, they're setting off fireworks, they're blowing their balls off. People don't know what they're doing. They really don't. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. We will shoot for Be the Booker later on here in the stream. The goal tonight is a mystery. I am leaving it a mystery. So hit that thumbs up button, and maybe we will do Be the Booker a little bit later on. Super chats are open. Channel memberships are as well. If you would like to become a channel member and get access to the emojis and other perks, please go ahead and consider doing so. Or this July 4th, if you want to salute your fellow channel members and gift a membership, you could also gift memberships to other people on the channel as well. So Raw on this fine evening opened with Seth Rollins coming to the ring dressed in all white, still the World Heavyweight Champion after his win over Finn Balor on Saturday in London. He came to the ring and he basically played the John Cena role, where John Cena used to come out and he used to basically be the narrator of the show. He was like the Morgan Freeman of Monday Night Raw, the voice of God. He would be narrating all the different things going on in the company and different storylines and different characters on the show. So the first thing that Rollins did was he gave praise to Jey Uso, who is not a Raw star, for being the first man to pin Roman Reigns in 3.5 years. You love to see it, he said. And he mentioned Damian Priest and Io Sky winning Money in the Bank. He said that he beat Finn Balor by the skin of his teeth. He then noted that SummerSlam was only 5 weeks, actually less than 5 weeks away. He said there was only one thing on his mind, and before he could tell us what that one thing was on his mind, he was interrupted by Cody Rhodes and his music. And Cody was in his ring gear. And Rollins did not look very happy about being interrupted. And I wouldn't be either. Cody started speaking like he was about to ask us, what does everybody want, right? That's how he opens all of his promos. But before he could ask us that question, he got interrupted. And he was interrupted by Brock Lesnar's music. And sure enough, out came Cowboy Brock, hat and all. He walked out on stage. Cody was not going to wait around for him. Cody took his jacket off. He left the ring. He made a beeline for Brock, who was waiting for him. Brock fought him all the way down to the ring. Inside, he tried for an F5. Cody slipped out, and he did the springboard off the ropes. Cody got the Cody cutter. Brock rolled out to the floor to regroup, and that was it. Brock's night was done. Brock's night was done at that point. They played Cody's music. Brock left. And that was the last we saw of him for the rest of the show. Of all the surprises that WWE gave us on Saturday, it was like the night of surprises, right? John Cena showed up, Drew McIntyre returned, Shayna Basler turned on Ronda Rousey, Jey Uso pinned Roman Reigns. It was the night of surprises. One of the biggest surprises of the show is what did not happen, which was Brock Lesnar. I was sure that Brock was going to show up in London, either to cost Cody the match, or what they did here, where he would be interrupted by Brock's music. When Cody was posing in the ring after his match on Saturday, I thought, here it comes. Right? Here comes Farmer Brock, but we didn't get him. But it kind of made sense because they gave so much away on the pay-per-view that they wanted to save something here for the television show. And now, looking at what they did here with Brock, I can understand why we didn't get it at Money in the Bank. You think Brock is going to fly all the way to London to do what he did here? Do you think that Brock Lesnar is going to fly all the way to the UK just to do this? 60 seconds in and out, that's it. So it makes sense. He'll go to Baltimore, but he ain't going to go to the UK for that. So round 3 is coming at SummerSlam. Get the bull rope ready. It's just a matter of time. We also, interestingly though, in this segment, it was very brief. It was very brief, but we got a little tease of Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. We have not seen these two in the ring together since the infamous Hell in a Cell match that Cody wrestled with one peck. One peck, and he still won, just like Danielson won with one arm against Okada. And their paths will cross again. It's not going to be now. The timing is not right for it. It will happen next year. I believe it will happen in 2024. It's not going to happen this year. Cody, by the way, he reiterated in the press conference. They had that post-show press conference at Money in the Bank. And he reiterated the fact when somebody asked him about the championships, he said that, look, winning the world title, Seth Rollins is going to make that world title mean the world. He said, give it a year. A year from now, and what Seth is going to do for that belt is going to be tremendous, he goes. But, he goes, that is not finishing the story. He said, the story that I need to finish, the one that I told when I came back to WWE, the reason I came back to WWE, it's not the World Heavyweight title, it's the other title. It's the title that Roman Reigns is walking around with right now. So he made that very clear. The story is not done until he wins the WWE Championship. So after a commercial, Rollins was still in the ring. And he tried to pick up where he left off when he was interrupted, yet another interruption, by the Judgment Day. Or at least 3/4 of the Judgment Day. We had Damian Priest, we had Dirty Dom, and we had Rhea Ripley. There was no Finn Balor. Rollins asked where Finn was. Ripley said Balor wasn't there tonight, but he was fine. Don't worry about him. Priest told Rollins not to worry about Judgment Day business. He said the only thing Rollins should be worried about is his Money in the Bank contract. Already teasing that we might get a cash-in tonight. Rollins said that Priest needs him worn down. And right now he doesn't have a match tonight. So Priest proposed that Rollins face somebody next to me. Rollins wondered whether it would be Rhea or Dom. And Ripley said that she already had a title defense tonight. And Dom was looking for a fight. Rollins said that this seemed like a very obvious and poor attempt at setting a trap for him. And then he asked the crowd if he should beat the brakes off of Dominic. They cheered. And Rollins said they got their, they gave him their answer. He said, I'll see you later tonight. And just like that, we had our main event. Non-title. It was going to be Seth Rollins one-on-one with Dominic Mysterio. So after another break, it was Damian Priest one-on-one with Shinsuke Nakamura, which was a change from what WWE was advertising this afternoon in the email blast that they sent out. I got an email from them. And in the email, they said that Damian Priest would be wrestling Ricochet one-on-one for the first time ever. So I assume it was either, I guess it was a typo. I was about to say, hey, this is par for the course with you-know-who. Advertise one match, and then a few hours later, we get a completely different one. And maybe it was. Maybe it was a Vince thing. I don't know. But based on what they did later in the show with Ricochet, I'm going to assume it was a typo in the email. So Priest had Rhea and Dominic in his corner to cheerlead for him. They went through a picture-in-picture break. Nakamura landed a knee strike from the second rope. He was firing up. Priest, though, caught him with a short-arm clothesline, hit the South of Heaven chokeslam for the win. It's nice to see a Money in the Bank winner actually pick up a win, because so many times over the years, how many times have we seen the Money in the Bank winner gets that briefcase and then he becomes a jobber bait for the next few months? So this was encouraging. Damian Priest actually got a win. He's taken a lot of losses recently. So now it'd be nice if he went on something of a win streak. So this is win one since taking the briefcase. He's already undefeated. Someone who is not undefeated is Ronda Rousey. She's also no longer one half of the women's tag team champions after what happened at Money in the Bank. She was betrayed by her best friend, Shayna Basler. She wanted some answers. Ronda was very pissed off. And she stormed down to the ring. She had a microphone. And before she could say a word, Shayna Baszler's music hit. She has new music, by the way. I think this is brand new. I've not heard this music before. But she came out to new music. And she had a microphone in her hand. Shayna said that, I think I can speak for everyone when I say that we are all sick and tired of hearing you speak on the microphone. Amen to that. Can I get an amen? Is what I was saying when Shayna Basler started speaking here in this promo. Never have I heard a more truthful Shayna Basler promo in my life. Ronda said that Shayna owed her an explanation, and this pissed off Shayna. Shayna said, "Oh, you. Oh, you." She called her a narcissist, said that the only thing she owes everybody is an apology for bringing Ronda into this business in the first place, which got huge cheers from the crowd. Shayna said, I don't look at we got all the amens in the chat. Amen. That's right. Can I get an amen in the chat? Can I get an amen with the prayer emojis in the chat? There we go. Shayna said, I don't recall seeing you trying out. I don't recall seeing you building rings at shows for 30 people. Unlike you, I paid my dues. She said, I scratched and I clawed for a chance to get here. Whereas you waltzed your way in through the back door straight to WrestleMania. Shayna said, I love this and you have ruined it for me. How many fans online would say that, right? All the Ronda Rousey haters, right? She's ruined it. Get rid of her. She says, I owe you all right. I owe you the sobering reality that there is someone here, me, that can finally shut you up. So as she was cutting this promo, Shayna was standing on the apron. Ronda was in the ring. So the ropes were separating them. At this point, Ronda gave her a kick right in the gut and knocked her off the apron to the floor. Ronda went outside and she tackled Shayna. She threw Shayna in the ring, and then in the ring, she put her in a choke. Shayna escaped, got Rousey trapped in an ankle lock, and Ronda eventually made it to the ropes, and she kicked Shayna away. And Shayna came back charging in with a great running knee strike. This looked and sounded great. It looked like it made impact flush right up on the side of Rousey's jaw. My only gripe with this is that Ronda did not sell this long enough. So the knee strike looked great. It really should have knocked her out or knocked her loopy at least for a little bit. And instead, after about 4 or 5 seconds, Rousey is just, she's jawing because Shayna has left now. And she's just yelling at Shayna, get back here, get back here. I wish she would have sold it longer because it looked like such a great shot. But 5 seconds later, it didn't mean anything. And she was yelling for Shayna to come back down to the ring. So basically what WWE did here is they had Shayna Basler go out there and they pulled together every single complaint that every fan on the internet or on social media has had about Ronda Rousey really since the day that she came into the company, but especially all the things that people have been saying about Ronda Rousey over the past year. They just said, here, we're going to take all of this and we're going to give it to Shayna Basler because she's going to go out there and she's going to get cheered. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly why they did that, because they wanted to make sure that when Shayna went out there, they positioned her as the babyface in this feud. Remember what I was talking about at the Money in the Bank review? It's going to be very interesting to see how the fans respond and who they cheer for and who they boo, who they side with and who they don't. Well, WWE already made the decision for you, because by doing this, it's very clear they want Shayna Basler to be the fan favorite in this feud. And so that's why they did what they did, because there are a lot of people who do not like Ronda Rousey. There are a lot of people who think that Ronda Rousey sucks, or they think that Ronda Rousey is boring, or they think, just like Shayna was talking about here, right? And Shayna doesn't believe this because Shayna's her friend, but there are people who believe that Ronda Rousey doesn't belong, that Ronda Rousey, she didn't pay her dues, right? She was a big star, so she got thrust into this, and it's not right, and again, she's boring, and she's this, and she's that. So they're tapping into that. They're leaning into it. They're tapping into that sentiment here for this feud. But I said at the beginning, I said there's one thing that they did not do that I was looking for. Because you're going to see a lot of people praising this promo, and I'll praise it too. I think this was Shayna Basler's best promo ever in WWE. Having said that, what I was looking for was an explanation for why now. It wasn't just an explanation for why. Why now? And so I sit here and I listen to everything that Shayna Basler had to say, and it doesn't make any sense. Why would she, if this is how Shayna Basler feels, right? If she's felt this way about Ronda Rousey from day one, for whatever reason, she just kept it to herself, right? Why did she wait so long? Why did she wait months and years to do this? And even if you want to say, well, okay, maybe she something in her snapped or whatever, she still went in there on Saturday. The bell rang, the match started. They wrestled for minutes, and it was in the middle of the match. Now, I can't remember offhand if there was something that maybe happened during the match, if there was a blind tag that pissed off Shayna. I should go back and see if maybe there was some sort of spot in the match or a look that Shayna gave to her, which is possible. Maybe there was, and I just wasn't paying attention to it. But why in the middle of the match, all of a sudden, would she decide to attack Ronda Rousey? She didn't answer that question. She didn't say, why now? What was it that Ronda said or did recently or in that match that finally set her off? And we didn't get that. We didn't get that explanation from her. We just got more of the broad strokes here of the story that they're trying to tell. But this was still, like I said, the best promo that I've seen out of Shayna Basler since she came to WWE. And this is obviously going to be a SummerSlam match. And the question now is Ronda really on her way out? Meltzer says she is. Now, Meltzer hasn't given a hard date of, okay, she's done at SummerSlam. That was something he was speculating on in The Observer. What he did say, though, for sure, is that he's been told she has already given the company a hard out, meaning there is already a date set for her departure. And it's not WrestleMania. It's going to be well before WrestleMania. So SummerSlam would seem to make sense, right? She gets the match with her friend. She can put Shayna over on the way out, which I'm sure she'd be more than happy to do. And then Ronda rides off into the sunset, goes back to her farm. And maybe we get NXT Shayna. Maybe we get the old killer Shayna Basler from NXT who ran through that women's division. That was the best version of Shayna Basler in WWE. We still really haven't seen that ever on the main roster. If Ronda Rousey could give us one gift on her way out, it could be the gift of NXT Shayna Basler. But that was my only gripe with the promo. We got the why, but we didn't get the why now, which I think, frankly, was just as important because if you think about it, it's kind of silly that if that's her explanation, that it happened now instead of happening earlier. We didn't get that. But next up after this was Tag Team Turmoil, with the new women's tag team champions, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They were sitting at ringside to observe. The winners of this gauntlet, the winners of this match here, would become number one contenders to their women's tag team titles. And so the teams were Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox. Yes, the famed team of Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox, who have been on a hot streak recently. So hot, I didn't even know that they were a team. Emma and Nikki Cross, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. This was Hartwell's first match on Raw. She's out of the walking boot. She's medically cleared, so now Indy Hartwell is back in action. And the team of Caden Carter and Katana Chance. At least they showed the segment from earlier today to try to explain why is Nikki Cross teaming with Emma. What sense does that make? There was a backstage segment earlier where Nikki Cross was all excited. She said, oh, there's a gauntlet match tonight. She went up to Candice LeRae and she wanted to be partners. And Candice had to break the news to her that, oh, I already promised Indy, I'm sorry. And she walked off. And Nikki was she was crestfallen. Emma walks in and goes, why don't you team up with the, how'd she describe it? The only or the first Australian-born superstar in WWE or female in WWE? Didn't we have Outback Jack? Anyway, so that's how Emma and Nikki Cross became a team. So at least they explained that. They gave us some backstory on that, at least. Not a very good backstory, but they gave us a backstory. Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox teaming up, though, that is completely random. That's like me doing Be the Booker. If I did women's tag team Be the Booker and I pushed a button, I would end up with Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox. And you know what that would get? You know exactly what that would get. That's what that would get. That's exactly the reaction that would get if I landed on that. So that's the reaction it got here when I was watching this here in real time. So it started with two teams in the ring, and the other teams were all outside like lumberjacks almost. And the winning team would stay in the ring after each fall, and then a random team would then enter the match. Random, how they determine who would go in next. If there was a draw, a coin flip, I have no idea. So Sonya and Chelsea quickly eliminated Candice and Indy by pinning Candice. Nikki Cross and Emma were in next, but Nikki was, she wasn't in the ring very long before she went outside to check on Candice, who was still recovering from losing the previous fall. And so she's still obsessed with Candice LeRae. So they're still continuing this storyline. Every time I think the storyline is over, because we get nothing, we get no follow-up to it on TV. 6 weeks go by, and then they resurrect it in some way. And it's like, who could possibly care? Who could possibly care? People know who Nikki Cross is. People know who Nikki's been around for a while. This is doing no favors to Candice LeRae. When Candice LeRae is on screen, when Candice LeRae goes to the ring, nobody cares. This is one of the reasons why. That and that stupid Poison Pixie name. But this is one of the reasons why. It's the inconsistency of it. It's one of the issues I've had with AEW, and maybe Collision will help that now. But one of my issues there, you'd have people showing up on Dynamite, and then they would disappear. They'd have one match. If they were lucky, maybe they'd get back-to-back weeks. They'd vanish, and it's like, what happened to them? Are they hurt? No? Okay, well, then how come they're not on TV? You need to get consistent television time and get into some sort of consistent story. How can people come to know who this woman is if she's on television one week and then she disappears for 4 more? Doesn't make sense. So, of course, when Candice is in the ring and some of these other women are in the ring, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. Because how do you expect them to possibly bring themselves to care? They don't know anything about this woman. They haven't had enough time. They haven't had enough exposure to her. So anyway, Nikki goes outside the ring. And I guess Candice, at some point, we didn't see it, but Candice left, right? She went to the back. And Nikki spent the rest of this match, or the rest of the fall, sitting on the floor outside the ring talking to herself. So that's a hell of a tag team partner for Emma there. It was basically a handicap match. Emma was all by herself, and that didn't last very long before she got pinned. Dana and Tegan were in next, and when Chelsea and Sonya at one point, they took a powder out of the ring, right? They were going to go a timeout, right? So they go outside. Dana Brooke and Tegan Knox, they get into the ring, and they go for a double baseball slide. And they executed the worst double baseball slide that I have ever seen. So we get stereo baseball slides from both women that did not even touch Chelsea or Sonya. They intended to, because they sold it. They sold it anyway, even though they barely grazed them. And then Dana Brooke puts her fingers in the air like she just accomplished some great feat. Congratulations. The fans did not make any noise for this match up to this point. Somebody may have coughed. Maybe somebody sneezed on the guy next to them. Vince McMahon had them thrown out. Those are about the only noise. Maybe somebody farted. That's about the only thing that you heard from this crowd. Okay, they even tried to pipe in crowd noise, and the computer said no, it went into sleep mode. They couldn't even get the crowd noise piped in. The computer went to bed. That is until we got a real team here, because Katana Chance and Caden Carter tagged into this match here in a little bit. Actually, I should mention this first. When they came back from commercial, Samantha Irvin said that Dana Brooke and Tegan Knox had been eliminated. This happened during the commercial. This happened during, I believe, the picture-in-picture. I didn't even see how it happened. I didn't even care enough to go back and see how it happened. But they literally came back from commercial, and Samantha Irvin was already making the announcement that they were eliminated. Good. Fine. So that left Caden Carter and Katana Chance in there with Chelsea and Sonya. And the fans actually woke up a little bit for this. Especially there was a spot here where Katana hit a top rope Frankensteiner on Chelsea Green that looked good. Crowd reacted to it, right? Good spot. Sonya, though, broke up the pin. Chance and Carter went for their after-party finish, but Katana got shoved off the top rope, and Chelsea hit the unprettier to Carter to win the match for her team. So they started the gauntlet with a tear in my eye. Hey, Daniel, thank you, man, for that 1992. Yeah, I had tears in my eyes after this match, although for very different reasons. But again, they started the gauntlet and they ended the gauntlet. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville pick up the win. The reason the fans didn't care is because it's a dead division. It's a dead division. They have practically no teams. So they're forced to pair up random people and teams that usually don't last more than a show or two. I mean, come on. You think Dana Brooke and Tegan Nox are going to be a permanent team now? Maybe they'll team up one more time. Maybe they'll team up on some of the house shows. That's about it. I'll be shocked if we see them as a tag team ever again on this show. So this is what you end up with. You end up with this. Sonya and Chelsea, they're going to make for, a good fill-in team for Liv and Raquel to beat. And then they'll spin their wheels. They'll spin their wheels with someone else until they eventually get to Chance and Carter, who are actually a great team. And eventually they will win those women's tag team titles. And when they do, they'll have nobody to work with. So, in the end, what does it really mean? Becky Lynch was out to the ring next for a promo. She said that she did not win Money in the Bank. She said that's okay. She can move on from that, but she cannot get past Trish Stratus. She said that she couldn't think of a better place to end things with her than right here in Baltimore. She called out Trish. So Trish Stratus walked out with her partner in crime, Zoe Stark, and Trish brought back the protective mask for her busted nose. This, on your left, was Trish Stratus many, many years ago when we first saw the face guard when she broke her nose. And here on the right is Trish Stratus today, probably with the, well, I guess it's a little bit different, I guess. I was going to say, maybe it's the same mask. This one on the right has the black straps on top, so maybe it's not exactly the same one. It's a replica. But yes, we have heel Trish back once again with the face guard, just like old times. This woman does not age. This woman looks incredible. Look at this. Anyway, she blamed Becky for breaking her moneymaker. She said that she's still better looking than all the... Well, that's the fucking truth. She's better looking than all the fans. Trish said that she would indulge Becky's request, but she's not medically cleared. Becky told Trish, well, why don't you send your lapdog, Zoe, to the ring instead? She remembered Zoe hitting her with her Z360 finish, which is what led to Trish pinning her in their last singles match. Becky questioned what would happen to Zoe once Trish went home. And she asked Trish, why are you still here if you do not want to fight me? Trish said that I am the face of the women's division. She said that Becky hated it when they used to hang out backstage and people would come up to her and say, thank you, Trish. And Trish said that Becky broke the face of the division. Now Zoe would break her face. So Trish and Zoe, they started walking to the ring. Trish then stopped her and said, we're not doing this in Baltimore. Because you see, they were in Baltimore. But it's not Baltimore. It's Baltimore. Yes, that's right. Get it? Trish is the comedian. She told Becky to keep her calendar open for next week. I'm inclined to just keep this image on the screen here. Even with the face mask. I mean, it's Trish. Come on. Would you rather look at Trish or would you rather look at me? I'd rather look at Trish. So, Jackie Redmond has been promoted. She's the new Raw correspondent. Kathy Kelly has been moved over to SmackDown. So now Kathy Kelly is on the A show now. So Jackie Redmond was standing over by the, she used to be on the Raw Talk show. I think that's where she previously was. So she was standing at the kind of the corner of the stage where they have the barricade, and her back was turned so we could see the audience behind her. And she introduced her guest at this time, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I could have sworn we just saw this man. I mean, I know he was interrupted. He didn't have much to say because he got interrupted. So they brought Cody back out. And oddly enough, here's what I don't understand. So Cody at the beginning of the show comes out and he's in his gear. He's in his jacket. He's in his gear. He looks like he's ready for a match. And he comes back out, but this time he's in his suit. So why exactly Was he in his gear at the beginning of the show? Only thing I could think of is he was going to do the springboard into the Cody cutter, and he wanted to have his boots on for it and not his dress shoes. Otherwise, I'm not sure why he even came out in his gear at the beginning of the show. So we had a wardrobe change. Now he was in his suit. Cody pointed out that it was Jackie's first night on Raw. He got the crowd to chant "Hi Jackie" at her, and I said, "Hi Jackie." Everybody in the chat say "Hi Jackie." Cody said that he would fight Brock Lesnar any night. He'll fight Brock Lesnar every night. He will fight Brock Lesnar in a boat. He will fight Brock Lesnar with a goat. He will fight Brock Lesnar on a moat. He will fight Brock Lesnar and throw a zygote at him. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. This guy's turning into Dr. Seuss. The point is, he will wrestle, he will fight Brock Lesnar anywhere, anytime. And that was it. They played his music and he left. He wasn't even out there for a full 2 minutes. And they played his music. I thought Brock was going to attack him again. Nope. Because you know why? Brock was already on the plane back home to Saskatchewan. Reading, what was that magazine he was reading that time? When he was reading, he was thumbing through magazines at Raw that time. What was he reading? Like some kind of gun enthusiast magazine or something? He's on the private jet back home to Saskatchewan reading Gun Enthusiast. He's not even there. Oh boy. No mention of SummerSlam, just a very vague, "I will fight you anywhere." We've already known this. Cody's been saying for weeks he'll fight Brock. So what did this really accomplish? We had Alpha Academy and Maxine Dupree against the Viking Raiders and Valhalla. Oh, it was Backwoodsman. That's what it was. Was it Outdoorsman or Backwoodsman or... yeah, okay, the Backdoor. Okay. Backdoor magazine? What kind of magazine is that? That's a little sus. But hey, if Brock Lesnar wants to read Backdoor magazine, that's his business. I'm not going to tell him what to do. So like I said, Alpha Academy and Maxine Dupree against Valhalla and the Viking Raiders. Chad Gable took Eric to the outside, and then he landed a diving headbutt on Ivar from the top rope for a near fall. You know, you think after all these years, you would think that people would stop using that move. And yet here's Chad Gable doing headbutts off the top rope. Some people never learn. He went for the pin. It looked like Eric was a little late. The referee had to hold up her count. Maxine eventually got the hot tag, and she landed a series of arm drags on, on Valhalla. She then did the worm. Gable did a moonsault onto all of the men on the outside. Inside the ring, Maxine rolled up Valhalla for the win, and then Alpha Academy celebrated by putting her on their shoulders. You know, Chad Gable is great, and I like Otis, but how many variations of this match are we going to see? How many variations of this can we possibly get? You know, soon we'll get the singles matches. We'll get Valhalla one-on-one against Maxine, God help us. We'll get Chad Gable against Eric, and we'll get Otis against Ivar, and then we'll get a handicap match, and then we'll get another 6-person tag. This is not an interesting enough feud to keep doing it over and over and over again like this. But the story they're telling is that Gable and Otis have been training Maxine. They've been teaching her. And this is really more about establishing her than doing anything with Gable and Otis. So that's why they're doing it. I can't say it's very interesting to me, but at least it gets Gable on the show. So they aired highlights of the near-death experience, the near-death spot at the Money in the Bank match with the men, with Ricochet and Logan Paul the other night. They also had exclusive footage of a pull-apart brawl that took place in the back after the match at Money in the Bank, and officials had to get between Logan Paul and Ricochet, and they bleeped out some cussing that Logan was doing at him. So back live, Ricochet was being interviewed by Jackie Redmond in the back. Ricochet said that a lot of people thought that Logan Paul didn't belong in the Money in the Bank match. He said that Paul could hang, and he respects that, but he does not respect that Logan got in his face after the match was over, because it simply wasn't his night. And he challenged Logan Paul to show up and meet him face-to-face in the middle of the ring next week. So, if it is going to be Ricochet against Logan Paul at SummerSlam, which it sure seems like that's what it's going to be, that's fine with me. That's going to be a spectacle between those two. So I'm fine with that if that's going to be the match. But if that occupies Logan Paul on the SummerSlam card, then I feel even stronger about what I said the other night. The U.S. title match at SummerSlam should be LA Knight challenging Austin Theory. And things are set up where it looks like Sheamus is going to be the one. I like Sheamus. I'd like for him to have a spot on the SummerSlam card. If you have to, make it a multi-man match if need be. Or just call an audible and do LA Knight one-on-one with Austin Theory for the United States Championship. That is the match to do. Because some people were talking about the possibility of, well, if they don't do that, they could always have Logan Paul against LA Knight, right? And that would have been fine too, but it's pretty clear LA Knight, or Logan rather, is going to be occupied with Ricochet. So the match that I would like to see, the match I think they should do, is Theory and LA Knight, and get that fucking belt off of Austin Theory. Austin Theory right now, Austin Theory is just, he just feels dead. He is just dead, right? He's young enough, he's going to be around for a long time. But right now, him as the U.S. champion, it's just, he's not doing anything for that belt. That belt's not doing anything for him. The hot hand right now is LA Knight. He doesn't have to be a world champion, but you get that U.S. belt on him, that's a good spot for him to be in. SummerSlam, big stadium show, right? 40,000 people. They're all going to be chanting, yeah. They're all going to be going LA Knight. Maybe Kevin Nash isn't going to be doing that, but all the fans in the building are going to be doing it. It's the only spot for him that makes sense. What else do you do with him if you don't put him in that U.S. title match? Is he even going to be on the card? Triple H at the press conference on Saturday, somebody asked him about LA Knight. And Triple H said, good things come to those who wait. And the problem with that is that WWE in the past has sometimes waited a little too long. There is something to be said for striking when the iron is hot. I don't know if LA Knight will be this hot with the crowd in 6 months. I don't know. Maybe he won't be. Sometimes you got to strike when the iron's hot. You got to get behind that person. Give them that little extra push, right? Hopefully we'll see that at SummerSlam. We had Rhea Ripley one-on-one with Natalya for the Women's World Championship. Their first match at Night of Champions was not very competitive, if you remember what happened in that match. This time they actually had the chance to work, and it ended up being the best match on the entire show. Natty attacked Ripley as Rhea was making her entrance, which I believe is what Rhea did to Natty on Raw a few weeks ago when they were going to wrestle again. So this time, Natty got the jump on her in the aisleway. After the bell rang, Natty went for the sharpshooter. Ripley rolled out to the floor. Natty followed Ripley and ran into a punch. And Ripley repeatedly slammed her head onto the cover of the lid of the announce desk. She rolled Natty back into the ring. Later on in the match, Rhea went to the top for a missile drop kick for a 2 count. Ripley worked her prism lock submission until Natty rolled through to get out of it. Natty went for a sharpshooter. Ripley, though, ran her into the turnbuckle. And Rhea went up to the top rope. She did the Eddie Guerrero shimmy before coming off, but Natty got the boots up and she made contact. She made contact on that because when Rhea came back up, she was all bloody from the mouth. Rhea bloody Ripley indeed. She got her good with those boots. Natty then hit a what I believe Corey Graves said was a British Bulldog-esque running power slam. Not quite the way that the Bulldog used to do it, but it was a power slam. It was a power slam. And then finally, she got the sharpshooter applied. After multiple attempts in this match, I think 3 by my count, she finally got the sharpshooter locked on. And the crowd was reacting. Ripley eventually made it to the ropes for a break. With Ripley on the floor, Natty set up. I thought she was going for a dive. And Natty is not one that I think is typically diving in these matches, so I kind of held my breath and said, okay, how's this going to go? So I thought she was going to go for a dive. Instead, she got a baseball slide into nothing. It was just a baseball slide to the floor. And when she got to the floor, Rhea simply bypassed her and went back into the ring. So Natty went to go back into the ring after her. Rhea caught her with a kick and a headbutt, and then Rhea finished her off with the Riptide for the win. And they gave them some time. I think this went about 12 or 13 minutes. The longest match I think Natty has been a part of on television in forever. After it was over, Ripley attacked Natty a little bit more. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they ran down to the ring to chase off Rhea, and we got a stare down. Raquel was in the ring, staring down at Rhea. Rhea was staring back up at her as she walked off. So we got a hard-fought, competitive match here. Again, the best on the entire show. Nobody, for being honest, believed that Natty had a prayer of walking out of this match with the Women's Championship. But they were able to overcome that. These two women were able to overcome that. They put together what I thought was a damn fine match. So credit to both of them for that. And I'm not even like grading on a curve or anything like that. It was a good match. It was a good match. It certainly wasn't because they had a good story going into this. I know some people will say, well, they had the Natty redemption arc. This was not a redemption story. This was never a redemption story with Natalya. This was Natalya being embarrassed at Night of Champions, and this was Natalya just trying to fight to prove that she can still hang with the best. But it wasn't much of a story, and there was no reason to really get behind her because people didn't buy into the fact that she was actually going to win. And yet, by the time this match was over, again, they had the people. It's not like people were sitting on their hands for the entire match. That in and of itself is a victory, because the predictable outcome was the one that we got, which was Rhea retaining her championship. Anything else would have been ridiculous. Now, backstage, Rhea, this is later on, Rhea ran into Io Sky, who happened to be there, standing around, and she was holding up her Money in the Bank briefcase. Rhea said, "Try me because it would be the biggest mistake of your life." The rest of the Judgment Day showed up. Ripley complained about Raquel and Liv, and she said that the two of them will regret getting involved in her business. So we might get Raquel and Rhea after all at SummerSlam, because they were teasing it a few weeks ago. It was like one brief segment. As a matter of fact, it might have been the segment on Raw where Rhea beat the hell out of Natty, and I think it was as she was coming back through the curtain. She had a little face-to-face with Raquel, if my memory serves. So that's fine if they're going to do Raquel and Rhea, and there's a history between them and an old friendship from the NXT days, if they want to mention that. But, yeah, again, Raquel and Liv are the tag team champions. So now you're looking at what? Taking one half of the tag team champions, if not both tag team champions, and putting them in a match for the singles title at SummerSlam? To me, that's the women's tag title situation in a nutshell right there. But that's what it looks like. We could get a triple threat, but I think it's probably going to end up being Rhea and Raquel. And honestly, if you said to me which of those two options is the one I would go with, it would be one-on-one. It would be Rhea and Raquel, not Liv. Liv can be in Raquel's corner. But if you think who else will wrestle Rhea at SummerSlam, there is no other answer. Becky and Trish are going to be doing their thing. Natty's been beaten. And Natty's not a SummerSlam match anyway. Raquel's the only one that makes sense. They don't have anybody else. They don't have anybody else who's been teased or built up for that spot. And if that happens, then I guess we're not going to get a women's tag team title defense at SummerSlam. I know you're all very devastated by this. I know it's a painful decision. I know. We got a very NXT-esque promo from Tommaso Ciampa. If you remember the promos he used to cut, he'd be sitting in a chair somewhere in the back. That's the kind of promo he cut here on this show. He says he finally saw a look in Miz's eyes that he liked last week. That was when Miz left him laying and he was showing a more aggressive side. For a change, we don't get to see that side of Miz very often. So Ciampa said that Miz got his ruthless aggression back. He said the next time he sees Miz, he wants him to bring that same type of energy. And at that point, they cut to a different promo elsewhere in the building with Miz. He was in the locker room somewhere. And Miz said that the last person who called him a coward is gone, which is true. He is gone, although he also just tapped out Okada with a broken arm. But he is, in fact, gone from the company. Miz said that next week he's going to have a no disqualification match with Ciampa. We found out later in the show that that match is official for next week. It will be Ciampa and Miz, no DQ one-on-one. Hey, Josiah. I love you too, brother. Good to see you. Matt Riddle, one-on-one against Giovanni Vinci of Imperium. This was more of an angle than a match. Vinci came out. He had Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser with him. Vinci jump-started the match. He slammed Riddle, hit a crossbody, and then attacked the injured ankle. Same ankle that Gunther was working over and chopping at Money in the Bank. Vinci landed a rolling senton into a moonsault off the second rope for 2. And then he went for an ankle lock, but Riddle rolled through and he pinned him. That's it. That was the whole match. That's what I mean when I say a whole series of short matches that in a lot of cases don't mean anything. That's what Raw is. Which is weird because Raw is the longest show of the week. It gives you more time. I'm not saying every match needs to be 15 minutes on this show. But there are so many short little bursts, short little matches on this show that don't mean anything. I know in the grand scheme they're meant to build each person up, but they really don't mean anything. They really don't. What are you getting out of a 90-second match? It's getting you to the angle that comes after the match. Why even have the match? Why even have the match? Vinci is very good. I would have liked to have seen what Vinci and Riddle could do for 5 or 6 minutes. We didn't get that chance. Vinci's like the black sheep of the group. He's the one that, when it comes to singles matches, we see him the least in the ring. We see Gunther, we see Kaiser. How many times have we seen Giovanni Vinci in a single? This may have been his first one. This may well have been his first singles match on Raw. I don't remember offhand, but I'm almost positive it is. So that didn't last very long. Kaiser immediately hit the ring when the match was over. He hit Riddle with a penalty kick. And Imperium attacked Riddle until Drew McIntyre's music hits. He comes out, makes the save, takes out Kaiser and Vinci. No more stupid sword, by the way, which is good. McIntyre stared down Gunther, and he invited him into the ring before hitting a Claymore kick on Vinci. That's right, Brock. Brock in the chat. We know Giovanni can go. I was impressed from the first time I ever saw him. I didn't know him from Adam. And then they brought him in for the Cruiserweight Classic. This would have been fucking 6 years already. I think six or 7 years ago. And he's not a tall guy, but he doesn't, I look at Vinci, he doesn't look like a cruiserweight to me. You wouldn't think he can move around the ring the way that he could. But I saw him in that tournament doing things. He would do this like double springboard off the ropes, and it looked great, like smooth looking moonsault and just all kinds of stuff that really impressed the hell out of me at the time. So I'm not going to say he's better than Kaiser. I like Ludwig Kaiser too, but like he's the one I'd like to see more of him in the ring. And then we get something like this, and it's just like, all right, well, what's the point, you know? McIntyre and Riddle were interviewed by Byron Saxton backstage after this, and McIntyre said that he's back. Thank you, I wasn't aware of that. Riddle said that they should team up, and they should face Imperium on Raw next week. McIntyre said that that's next week. Right now, they should go get some pints. Riddle snuck in a little plug here for Jimmy Seafood, and the crowd popped. So then it was time for the main event. It was non-title. It was Seth Rollins going one-on-one with Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio, with Rhea Ripley back out again, and Damian Priest ringside with his Money in the Bank briefcase lurking with the briefcase. Coming out of the final commercial break, Rollins hit the Three Amigos on Dom. Rollins went up top. Ripley, though, climbed up onto the apron and distracted the referee while Damian Priest shoved Rollins to the mat. Dominic hit Rollins with a top rope frog splash, and he put the boots to Seth's injured ribs. Dom then performed another frog splash, stood back up again instead of going for the pin. Dominic went up top yet again. He went for another frog splash, but this time Rollins got the knees up. Seth set up for a pedigree, but he released Dom to go knock Damian Priest off the apron. Rollins sent Dominic to the floor. He had a suicide dive onto Dom and Priest. And then back in the ring, Rollins went for the stomp. Priest, though, grabbed him, gave him a South of Heaven chokeslam for the lame disqualification in 10 minutes. Just the blatant DQ, putting down Seth Rollins. So Priest worked over Rollins at ringside. He dropped him on the announce desk with a flatliner. He cleared off the top of the announce desk. Set up for a razor's edge. Rollins slipped out. He super kicked him, and then Rollins set up for a pedigree. It looked like he was going to go for a pedigree, or maybe he was going to pick up Priest and try to give him a razor's edge. He had him in that kind of powerbomb position. But before he could follow through and do anything, Dominic hit him in the back with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Hit him in the back, and at that point, Dominic, he grabbed the briefcase after he sent Seth into the ring steps ribs first. He picks the briefcase back up, and he gives it to Priest, and he tells him to cash in. Cash in. This is your time. Cash in. So, Priest gets into the ring with the briefcase. Who should show up at the most inopportune time? Finn Balor. We haven't seen Finn Balor all night. He shows up out of nowhere. He attacks Rollins, knocks Rollins into Priest, who gets knocked out to the floor. And then Balor goes up top for his finisher. Priest gets up on the apron. He's looking at Balor and yelling at him and going, "What the hell you doing, bro? What are you doing?" Balor is looking back at him and yelling at him. And as these two idiots are bickering here, Dominic is in the middle of this. He's trying to calm them down. He keeps looking behind him because he can see that Rollins is starting to stir. He goes, guys, hello. And so while they're bitching, Rollins makes his great escape, and he rolls out of the ring to safety. Dominic goes after Seth. Seth puts him down with a pedigree on the floor. And Balor and Priest, they go around to the other side of the ring to go check on Dom, and they end up standing over Dom's dead body, and they're yelling and they're arguing at each other, and Balor is blaming him for his loss at Money in the Bank, and Priest is blaming him for blowing a potential cash-in, and that is how they went off the air. So now we get weeks and weeks of bitching between these two about who deserves to be the champion. It'll likely end up being neither one of them. And I am starting to wonder now if this whole idea of Damian Priest either being excommunicated or leaving the Judgment Day of his own accord, if it's actually going to be Finn Balor at the end of all this who gets bounced out of the Judgment Day, and maybe he gets replaced by JD McDonough. Maybe it's not a matter of Balor bringing McDonough in and them being partners. Maybe McDonough is going to replace him in the Judgment Day. I don't know what's going on with JD McDonough. We haven't seen JD McDonough on television in weeks. So maybe plans have changed. I don't know. But whatever they seem to be kind of starting to do with him was just stopped cold, and it's been many, many weeks since we have seen McDonough on TV. So I'm not even sure if that whole idea is even in the conversation anymore. This was not a great show. This was not a great show. It was pretty boring outside of the women's title match, which was good in an unexpected way. Brock showed up for all of 60 seconds. You know, Shayna's promo I thought was fun. That was cool, but the women's gauntlet was just awful. And we got a bunch of short matches that didn't really lead to anything exciting. So that's Raw, folks. Here's a Twitter poll. 54% thumbs up, 46% thumbs in the thumbs down. I'm sorry. That's right. I forgot. I took the thumbs in the middle away from for the TV shows. I'm keeping it for the pay-per-views, but the TV polls are back to thumbs up, thumbs down. So, yeah, if you agree, I mean, you got the rawful emojis. Let me see those rawful emojis in the chat. This was not a great episode, but 54% of you so far thumbs up. So at Solomonster is where you can go vote on Twitter. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. Of course I'm right, but I'm just kidding. Chime in, let me know what you guys think, and let's go to your super chats. Man, it's raining cats and dogs outside here. I don't know if you can hear that outside my window, man. I know it said we had a 100% chance of rain, and that's exactly what we have outside my window right now. July 4th is officially July 4th. Oh, by the way, before I get to your super chats, I should mention, big SmackDown coming up on Friday from right here in New York City, Madison Square Garden. On Friday night, the Usos are taking Roman Reigns to court. And I don't mean they're going to Judge Judy. They're going to have tribal, although that would be funny. They're going to be going to tribal court This is going to be our second Tribal Court segment. We had one many months ago at Raw 30, right? The trial of Sami Zayn. Now it's the trial of Roman Reigns. The Usos are putting the Tribal Chief on trial. So that's on Friday. Edge is going to be back. He's returning on the Grayson Waller effect. So we're going to get a sense now of who his SummerSlam opponent is going to be, possibly Waller himself. And without giving anything away, even though I'm sure many of you probably already know, but without spoiling anything, even though I did mention it on the podcast last week, there is a former WWE star who is expected to make their return. They're joining the Blue Brand, and they are expected to make their return at Madison Square Garden on Friday. So this is going to be a big SmackDown coming up on Friday night. Okay, so let's kick things off here with Jackie Fowler dropping a $12 super chat. If the Bloodline saga is the greatest long-term storyline of all time, then the feud between Randy Savage and Jake Roberts is the greatest short-term storyline of all time. I'm okay with that. I would agree with that, actually. I would agree with that. That's one of my all-time favorite feuds. And it didn't go very long. Didn't go very long, didn't really have a proper payoff like it should have, a proper blow-off of WrestleMania, but I would agree. DEH Sires, I want an LA Knight and Alpha Academy cameo. Well, they're not on the same brand, so that's going to be a little hard, although that never stopped them before, so I guess they could always do it. DEH also says, whose rise has been better, Rhea's or Gunther's? I'm going to say Gunther because I always knew that Rhea was going to be a big star. And for a long time, I didn't have that same faith that when Vince was firmly entrenched, right? He was in the weeds all the time, uncreative. I had no faith whatsoever that they were going to do right by him. And to his credit, even before Vince, went away, he was the one who started, to give Gunther that push. When Gunther beat Ricochet and won the Intercontinental Championship, that was under Vince's watch. Now, how long Vince would have gone with him? Would Gunther still be undefeated if Vince McMahon had never stepped aside? We'll never know. But for years, the idea of Walter being called to the main roster sounded like a death sentence. And that was the last thing I wanted to see. And the success that he's had has been a nice, pleasant surprise. So that, to me, has been the better rise, just because it's the one that I wasn't expecting. I was less sure of that. Rhea, I always knew at some point her time would come, because she just had superstar written all over. He also says, do you think it is leading to a rematch or a tag match between Finn, Judgment Day against Priest and Dom, or Finn and JD against Priest and Dom at SummerSlam? No, because we have not seen JD McDonough. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know. He's just not around. So how are they going to build him for a big match if he's not around? He'd have to be back next week. So they could start building something, but he hasn't even been around. Also, were you hesitant to go live when YouTube live stream first came out? When YouTube live stream first came out, I wasn't streaming, and it had nothing to do with me being nervous about using it. It's just that I wasn't doing video at the time. I came late to the whole video game on YouTube, even though I've been doing the show for fucking 16 years. So no, I wasn't. It wasn't really about me being hesitant. It just wasn't doing the video stuff. Once I said, okay, we're going to start doing video, YouTube was a no-brainer. The Real CS says, do you know why WWE is trying to push LA Knight as a heel despite getting babyface reactions? Just turn him face already, you cowards. Well, it's only recently that the fans have really taken to him in the way that they have. So just to cut them a little bit of slack, they haven't really had a lot of time to pivot in a different direction, but I think they will. I think they will, possibly starting this Friday. I don't see how they can do it any other way. I don't think the fans are going to demand it. Fans are not going to boo this guy. So at some point, you have to listen to the crowd and you have to go with the flow. And if these people like this guy and they don't want to boo him, then he's going to become a babyface. Rizzo says, Green Man, please take my hand. I will save you. Poor Green Man at the beginning of this stream. Always trying to fall into that hole. You got people on the audio going, what the hell are you talking about? That's why you got to watch the video. Theodore Bond, thanks for all the hard work. Hey, Theodore, thank you. Thank you for the $5. Christopher Smith, Shayna's knee to Ronda was fire. Also, Shayna nuked Ronda on the mic. Now Shayna versus Ronda at SummerSlam. That is the direction. That's exactly the direction. Rizzo with the $10. I don't know if it's WWE's fault or if it's Ronda's fault, but something with her changed after WrestleMania 35. She was so hot when she first started, and now, in my opinion, she is annoying. I think she was always annoying. Like on the mic, you mean, or just in general? Yeah, no, definitely a different. I don't know exactly what it is, but just there was something different when she came back. She was gone for a while, and then she came back. And yeah, I agree. I mean, there was something a little bit different about her. Arabian Night, Rhea has no obvious challenge at SummerSlam. AEW took their depth also. Sasha and Naomi leaving left a hole in big names. Who is she facing besides Becky and Raquel? Well, you just named it. It's Becky and Raquel. Those are the only two obvious challengers for her, Becky and or Raquel. Becky, you could push that off for WrestleMania next year. So if they do Raquel at SummerSlam and then maybe one more show, they could do Liv. Again, after that, look at the women who were in the gauntlet tonight. You're going to do Rhea Ripley against Candice LeRae? Really? You're going to do Rhea Ripley against Dana Brooke? Rhea Ripley against Tegan Knox? The way that they've been using her? Good luck. Good luck with that. Christopher says, women's tag fail. A gauntlet was a blur. I went to go drink a beer and smoke my cigar, and I forgot about it. Daniel, thank you for that 1992 from earlier. Uffman. It's past midnight on the East Coast, so that means happy birthday, America. Right. 247 years old. 247 years old. Ric Flair not too far away. Luis. Oh, it's Luis with the $10 super chat. Doing some networking at my apartment in Koreatown, Los Angeles. Doing some networking? You're networking in your apartment? Is that a euphemism for something else? Was able to watch Raw. Damian Priest looks stronger than Finn and Dominic. He should have cashed in on Seth Rollins. Well, that was the whole story. He tried to, and Finn ruined it. That's the whole story from the end of the show. It just went right over your head. He tried to cash in, and he couldn't. It was ruined. Luis also says, Brock Lesnar against Cody Rhodes is going to be a snooze fest. I have zero interest in Shayna and Ronda. Roman Reigns against Jey Uso will have a better build starting with the Tribal Court on Friday. Hoffman says Triple H's good things come to those who wait is Vince McMahon's I owe you one, pal. That's right. Or let it play out. Come on, pal. Let it play out. Winter's Paw was there live. It's almost like Triple H knew I was going to be there and made sure to feature all the girls tonight. Addie delivered. She's the boat for a reason. Drew McIntyre. My birthday is tomorrow. I turn 24. Glad to be spending the first parts of my birthday with you all. Thank you, Solomon. Happy birthday, Drew. This was 24 minutes ago, so technically you sent this Tuesday. Well, I guess July 4th, right? July 4th is your birthday. You share a birthday with America? That's very cool. Yeah, but happy birthday, man. I hope it's a good one. Devin from NJ, if Darby climbs Mount Everest, I seriously hope we are not saying Darby fell. So did Solo. In all seriousness, stay safe out there. Thank you, Drew, or Devin. Thank you, Drew and Devin. I was looking at Drew. That's why I said Drew. All right, Drew says July 4th. Well, happy birthday, brother. Winter's Paw, great Raw for my first time. Thanks, Papa H. Arabian Night, could they do babyface Shayna against Rhea? There's NXT history. Oh, that's a good point. There is a history there from NXT with Rhea. When Rhea won her first championship, it was from Shayna Basler. They had that great match in NXT. I remember that show. They had the whole roster come out, basically, and the ring was filled with people, and they had Rhea hoisted up, and she's celebrating. It was such a great moment. They could, if you had babyface Shayna against Rhea, it's like a role reversal from the way it was in NXT. That would be interesting. That could work. Juan Sanchez, do you know what month Y2J against HBK started in 2008? I mean, the very beginning of their story, I think it goes back to April. I think it goes back to right after Shawn retired Flair at WrestleMania. I want to say April of 08. Wapatapa, good evening to Trish Stratus and Trish Stratus only. I'm surprised you didn't thank her and say thank you, Trish. Arabian Night, is the Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho long-term feud from 08 the only multiple-month program where the heel came out on top in the end? I mean, you could probably say that about Roman Reigns. Right? I mean, Roman... It felt like Roman and Kevin and Roman and Sammy. I mean, that whole thing was months long, and Roman came out on top at the end of all of it. So we're living through it right now with Roman Reigns. He's been champion for almost 3 years, and he's had plenty of programs that have, I think, led to multiple instances of him wrestling somebody where in the end it was just Roman Reigns, retaining his titles. And I'm sure there have to be others. I mean, I can't think of them right now off the top of my head. Alex Silva, do you think we will see Cody and Seth team up against the Judgment Day? Yeah, very possible. I could see that as a television main event, yes. And Kira Zabel, do I think Dominic can be considered the biggest heel right now? I don't know anybody else who gets the kind of heel reaction that he does. Are we talking in WWE or are we talking about in wrestling in general? Because in wrestling in general, I don't know, Don Callis comes out there on Dynamite and he gets a very Dominic-esque reaction. So in WWE though, yes, he is. It's funny though, that doesn't make him the best heel necessarily. Being the best heel is not just based on the crowd reaction you get any given night. But as far as the reactions that he gets, nobody else is getting the kind of heel heat except maybe Logan Paul, and Logan Paul's just not around enough to really judge whether or not, he's going to get that kind of heat in every city. Like Dominic gets that heat everywhere he goes. Logan Paul's pretty close though. Dr. Scorpio. If you hate Mondays, stand up. Still playing off Money in the Bank, are we? Still playing off Money in the Bank. If you hate Roman Reigns, please stand up. All right, that was the chant. Cody against Seth against Gunther at WrestleMania. Cody will not be wrestling at WrestleMania for the big gold belt. It'll be Seth and Gunther. Gunther will win the World Heavyweight Championship. Cody has other business to tend to. All right, thank you guys. We are at 420 likes. How's that for a number? Light them if you got them. It's time to be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
It is time. It is that time of night. My favorite time of night. Time to be the booker. Okay. 1-on-1. We booked a couple of Money in the Bank ladder matches the other night. Very mixed reaction. So we're back to business tonight. And we got Dude Love. Look at this guy. Look at this dancing fool. See that lady to the left, our left, and his right? I believe that's his wife, Colette. Dude Love. Going to go one-on-one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Funny enough, Dude Love and Stone Cold Steve Austin had 2 back-to-back pay-per-view main events in 1998. It was Austin's first feud after he won the title. And that second match at Over the Edge is one of my favorite matches of all time. That is a hell of a pick. That one's going to be tough to top. I love that Over the Edge match from 98. Love that match. Such a great match. Women's Be the Booker. We begin with Jordynne Grace, the former Impact Knockouts champion. I believe she was also the Impact Digital Media champion, I believe. Is that what they call that belt? Jordynne Grace, who I don't believe she's with Impact anymore. Is she officially gone from the company? I believe she is. Hey, Near, good to see you, man. You the man. Jordynne Grace one-on-one with Becky Lynch. There you go. There you go. Jordynne Grace and Becky Lynch. That's a big match. That works. 2 for 2. Let's go for the clean sweep. Let's go for the clean sweep with the tag teams. We begin with, there he is. There he is. Old Jim Cornette. Dennis Condrey. Bobby Eaton. Beautiful Bobby Eaton. This is this right here. Classic tag team wrestling at its finest. Midnight Express. They're going to be stepping into the ring with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. It's a fine match. Fine tag team match. Maybe not a main event marquee match. But the Midnights against the Best Men. What are they calling it? Was it Best Men or Men of the Year? Men of the Year. That's what they were calling themselves. I could see that opening a show, right? I think that works. You know what? Just for shits and giggles, why don't we go ahead and do stipulations for this match? I surprise you with this every now and then. Randomly. So we got the Midnights, and we got the Men of the Year. But what kind of match are they going to have? They're going to have an I Quit match. A tag team I Quit match. So the first person to say the words I quit will lose for their team. There you go. I like it. I Quit. It's an old school stipulation, too. It works. Very good bounce back for Be the Booker. Very good. Dr. Scorpio says last time Seth was world champion during the summer, it did not end well, and he had to turn heel soon after. You think history might repeat itself again? No, this feels different. I mean, he's on pretty solid footing right now as far as the crowd reactions and people singing his song. I will tell you that I am so burned out on this stupid song already. It works for him. The people do it. I know it's fun for the people in the building, but like I'm already so sick of this stupid song. Like when they cut the music off and he just stands there for 15 minutes and everyone goes like, okay, like enough. Seriously. Like I'm already over it. Like let the people have their fun, but like I can't fucking stand it. I'm already sick of it. I'm already sick of it. I'm already counting down the days to our brand new World Heavyweight Champion. It's only a matter of time. That match sounds more interesting than Raw tonight. The tag team match that we just booked. Yeah. Yeah. What is my favorite I Quit match? You know, the one that Cena and Orton had at, what was that pay-per-view? What was that pay-per-view in September of '09? I think it was Breaking Point. Was it Breaking Point? They had an I Quit match that I enjoyed. That might be it. I don't have a long list of great I Quit matches. If we're talking WWE, that might be the one that I go with. Yeah, it was Breaking Point. Okay, I think they only did one, right? There's only one Breaking Point show. Pretty sure it was 2009. Wasn't Austin versus Brett considered an I Quit match? No, that was a submission match. Hey, Alberto is about to have a super chat coming on through here for $9.99. Alberto Simas or Simas? We'll say Simas. How do you feel about Shayna's promo? Feel like this is going to push her over the top? Finally, she should have already been a main eventer. I don't think it's going to have any sort of long-term impact. I really don't. I think for the feud with Ronda, because Ronda is so hated by so many people, and look, she's been a heel for the past year, so she's going to be hated anyway, even by the casual fans. That's what happens when you're a heel and you come out week after week and you call the people stupid and I don't want to be here. People are going to boo you. It was like red meat. It was red meat for all the internet fans who go online and they say all these things about Ronda Rousey all the time. It's just, they're tapping into that. It's easy applause for Shayna Basler. It could have been anybody in that position, though. It's not. See, here's the thing. Here's how I look at it. Someone like LA Knight right now, for whatever reason, has caught fire. People genuinely like the guy. They think that he's entertaining, whatever it is about him, right? They like LA Knight, and they're getting behind him. When people started getting behind Daniel Bryan all those years ago, and you had the Yes movement and this groundswell of support for Daniel Bryan, it was because they liked Daniel Bryan. He was just a likable, scrappy underdog, right? In this case, I don't look at this as people are waking up to Shayna Basler and they like her. This is not like people love Shayna Basler. This is people hate Ronda Rousey. And if it was almost anybody else in this position, maybe not like a Dana Brooke. Even when Dana Brooke went to NXT, I even said this when I did the review. Dana Brooke went to NXT a few weeks ago. Everybody who goes back to NXT, who at some point wrestled in NXT, gets welcome back chance. Dana Brooke is the only person who ever went back to NXT and did not even get welcome back chance, okay? So with her, that might be different. But you could put almost anybody else, I think, in the position that Shayna is in, saying the things that she said on that show tonight, and they would have been cheered all the same. And when Ronda is gone, even if Shayna wins at the end of all this, when Ronda is gone, I don't think that people are going to keep that same energy for Shayna Baszler. I hope they do, but I don't see it. Because I don't see the reaction to her the same as I do for some of these other people where it's just organic, right? It's not manufactured. It's not, hey, let's give her this promo to get her this reaction. It's, you know, some of these other individuals, it's totally organic, and then the company either gets behind them or they don't. That's not what this is. So I would not expect much out of this when it comes to Shayna coming out of it, except if we get a different personality change. Again, more of the NXT version of Shayna. I would like to see that version of Shayna, that side of her again. But is the crowd going to shower her with great reactions every time she comes out? Probably not. We've got Winter's Paw. Would I feel, or should I feel bad that I had fun at Raw tonight? No, I mean, it's a different experience when you're there live. Although I feel like if I was there live, even with the 3 hours, it would just drag me down. Like, it's just why I don't go to Raws anymore. Once Raw went to 3 hours, the only Raws I went to were the ones post WrestleMania when I was still going to WrestleMania. because me and my friends would go. We would go to Raw. We would stick around in town for the extra night. I'd fly back before SmackDown when they would tape SmackDown on Tuesdays, but I can't even remember the last time I went to Raw. There's no way I can sit through a 3-hour Raw, like in the arena. To go to a pay-per-view where it's kind of nonstop action for 3 or 4 hours, I mean, that's different. I don't think I could bring myself to go to a 3-hour Raw. I just can't do it. You know? So, if you had fun, though, you don't have to apologize for it. Typically, when you have those live experiences in person, especially if you have really good seats, it's more fun. Watching on TV, you've got the commercials and the picture-in-picture, and, you know, it's just a slog to sit through. Thunder Force. I'm hoping WWE is just being cautious with Tegan Nox because of her history with injuries, but I won't get my hopes up. Well, when you've had a person whose knee has exploded multiple times, and I believe in her entire life going back to an old soccer injury when she was a teenager, she's had 3 ACL tears. 3. So, yeah, I would think that she would want to be a little cautious. The company itself, there's not much they can do to be cautious. I mean, they're either going to use you or they're not. So she's not getting the Brock Lesnar part-time work schedule. There's not much WWE can do to protect her. That's just something that she has to do when she's in the ring. It's just a matter of working smarter and crossing your fingers and hoping that, you know, history doesn't repeat itself. Because 3 ACL tears is not good. It's not good at all. Boots with the $10 for the Independence Day pyro budget and some beers. I was going to take it and put it towards some hot dogs and hamburgers, but that works too. Pharaoh's perspective on wrestling with the $9.99. Your content this past 3 days has been a godsend. My grandmother passed, and your podcast and wrestling in general is keeping me together. Please tell the ones you love that you love them while you can. It was very good advice, and I am very sorry to hear about your grandmother. I know that pain. I miss my grandmother. She passed away over 20 years ago at this point, but it sucks. So I'm very sorry to hear that. And Alberto, Zoe Stark's theme is my favorite right now. Make me wrong. You know, I don't even know what Zoe's song sounds like, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I'll have to go back and listen to it. I have no idea what it sounds like. It is not. I can tell you it's not the best theme song. But after I watched the Dark Side of the Ring episode the other day, I went into Spotify to see if they had the JYD Grab Them Cakes song. And they don't. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's probably one of these stupid rights issues. So I had to go to YouTube. But I'm playing like Grab Them Cakes, man. That fucking song, man. That song, fucking great. It's got a great beat to it. It's a great song. It's just a great, fun song to listen to. And of course, you know, Grab Them Cakes. It's got the double entendre going there. He's not really just talking about cakes, but I think you all know that. Had a different meaning. Just when you're a kid, though, you don't realize it, right? You think he's talking about cake. You get older, you realize, okay. It's not talking about food. But no, it's a great song. It really is. Yeah, Tegan also tore the MCL. Yeah, that last. No, I'm sorry, not the last one. The second ACL tear. Well, no, I guess it would have been. Yes, the second one. The one that she suffered in the Mae Young Classic match with Rhea Ripley. Her knee basically exploded. And that's the one where I think it was the MCL, the ACL, maybe the PCL. I mean, it was just a devastating knee. And I remember that too. It was really sad because they were in Full Sail. And she had just come back from the first ACL tear. First wrestling one, anyway. And so she gets hurt, and then the whole building, and there's like 400 people there. goes dead silent. So you can hear her moaning and screaming in the ring, like crying in the ring. Not again, not again. It was awful. It was awful. I remember that. And she was going to win, too. She was supposed to win that entire tournament that year. Pharaoh says, my grandmother wasn't the biggest wrestling fan in the world, but loved Dusty and hated Flair with a passion. Those are the golden days of wrestling, right? Dusty and Flair, Flair and Steamboat, Flair and Funk. Those were the days, man. Sting and Flair. But now I'll have to go back and listen to that Zoe Stark thing, though, and see if Alberto is telling the truth. But Alberto, thank you, man. Thank you for the super chats, and thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. All right, so I am going to be live with you again. I should be live with you on Wednesday night. That is for Dynamite. That'll be on July 5th. Friday night, big SmackDown show from Madison Square Garden. I'll be here, not MSG. I'll be here as soon as the show goes off the air. We'll talk about the Tribal Court and everything else that's going on the show on Friday. Near coming in with a super chat says, by the way, we're celebrating 1 year for Near 316. That's right. Near 316. We all know what that means. You know what, Near? Let's cheers for year 2. Year 2 and year 3 and beyond. Thank you, brother. If you missed, by the way, my Money in the Bank review, the full review, it was long review too. It's a good discussion, good super chat questions. Almost 3 hours long. That is up on the channel as well. Some funny moments in there. Some funny moments as always. So if you missed it, go back on the channel and check that out. I am going to not leave yet. Was waiting for that to pop up. Oh boy. Oh my God, it is Beerus, God of Seduction, with a $90 super chat. A buzzer beater, a 90 bomb. I had my finger on the button and a buzzer beater here. $90. Happy 4th. Do you have Fight Forever? Any update on Sting's condition? What is the story with the Neidhart net? Boy, he's just going all out here, right? He's just going all out with every question that he's ever had in his life. He's just throwing it out there. He's shooting his shot. Any relation to the Harts, or is it a coincidence that his name is Neidhart? Who is beating Reigns, Jay, Randy, or Cena? Pharaoh is going to have a rough day. Thanks. I think he's talking about Pharaoh the dog, by the way. Cody's dog, not Pharaoh, who dropped the super chat about his grandmother. Well, let's see. Let's try to tackle this as best we can here. Who is beating Reigns? Cody Rhodes should eventually be the one to beat Roman Reigns. The Neidhart name, I think it's just a coincidence that he married into the Hart family. Sting's condition, no update. Sting himself, after the match, thought that he would need some dental work and probably have stitches in his lip. I assume that's what's been that's what's happened. And I do not have Fight Forever yet. I might finally buy it tomorrow. There's been some stuff going on. I've just been occupied with some other stuff, but hopefully tomorrow will be a quiet day, and so that's my hope. But I've not been in a gaming mood these last few days. But tomorrow I'll try to dive into that. Am I doing a review for Saturday? Tentatively, yes. That is the plan. Because Collision is looking very good. The lineup for Collision on Saturday is looking very good. I'll be around. So my hope is that I will be live on Saturday night for this week's Collision. And probably next week too, just because next week, I believe, next Saturday is the finals of the Owen. The men's and women's Owen Hart tournaments. So I'd like to do back-to-back weeks at least if I can, but I will let you guys know. I know that Steam has a discount on Fight Forever. I think it's not a lot. It's maybe like a $9 or $10 discount. I don't know if there's other codes that I'm unaware of. If there are, let me know. Before I go and spend $60 on this game that has gotten mixed reactions. Anyway, I'm out of here for real this time. Thank you guys for all the love. I appreciate it. And we will be back and do it all over again on Wednesday night for the Dynamite stream. So until then, be well, stay safe. Happy 4th for those of you who are celebrating. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get hurt, please. And we'll come back on Wednesday and see you then. Take care, guys.